right, I'm here with Cody Miller. Been a while, my buddy. We're at Delta Motorsports Park in Tunica, Mississippi, doing some actually not cross country. We're doing something different for a change.
Changing up.
Yeah, some short track stuff. But I want to eye up your machine over here. I was hoping we could get a walkthrough.
Yeah, let's do it.
You've got a full-on factory spot with Yamaha. Your brother's got a full-on factory spot with Can-Am.
Yeah, this is my first year going with Yamaha. You know, kind of stepped over and changed a lot of things up this year. Got some great support with Yamaha, and I've had to change up my team, you know, a lot of the sponsors and stuff, but I was able to bring a lot with me, and you know, it's come a long ways. It's been a little bit of a challenge over the off season, just
take a look at this thing.
Because it was such a new car.
Did you think it would happen? I mean, the big four seemed like they were really slow getting into this thing.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to see more brands coming into it. I know that the competition between the manufacturers right now on side-by-sides is really serious, and it's really great for somebody like in my position that's, you know, trying to cut out a living playing on race cars all the time.
Right. Let's walk around here. This thing.
It's been fun.
You've got one of my key guys that you've been hooked up with is
George White.
George White, and what's he doing? He's got your suspension tuned in for what you're doing?
George has made a trip out to our compound a couple times now to do some testing with the Elka shocks here, and man, if it weren't for this guy, I'd be a long ways off right now.
He's good, isn't he?
He's good.
I know. And with the new sway bar, look at this thing.
Yeah.
This is, what do you call this, George? Is this something you sell yet?
Yeah, it's you can find them on our website. It's just our YXZ sway bar. It's pretty cool.
It's way cool.
This one it's all bolt in. You can see the bracketry. So we made some brackets. We've done a lot of testing to make sure nothing was going to bind or break or bend. We've probably been racing with these things for a little over a year now, and haven't really had any trouble at all. But it's all bolt on. There's bolt on brackets that goes on the trailing arms, and then the bar just uses a factory mounts.
Yep.
And our bar, it's a true, you can see it's a true spring rated bar. I did a lot of research on material.
And testing, I know you test with Marty Hart. You put some time on this before you make something.
That sway bar has a lot of R&D in it. And we got them on Cody's car. I'm real happy about that. So
right on.
Yeah, that was actually the first product that I put on the factory car from the get-go, and it made a huge difference.
Would you want something as good as this holds its ground in the rear? Would you want a sway bar up front? George says never a sway bar up front.
No, I took the sway bar off the front, and we just run with this right here. And
what's your theory in that, George? Why no sway bar in the front?
It's a band-aid for bad shocks and setup.
Okay.
That's what I try and tell everybody, but you know, it honestly is, in my opinion. You know, there's a lot of negatives to a front sway bar. I know they have their place for certain applications, but literally for most of the stuff that we do, it's more of a band-aid. You know, if you can't get the car to work and you need a front sway bar to help you work, then you need different suspension.
Okay.
You know, they kind of negatively affect cornering too, tend to make cars want to push. So if you can run without one and get away with it, you're a lot better off.
Okay.
And these things too, you think about it, I mean, it takes away independent suspension. I mean, you're tying the two sides together when you do it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, like this bar, it's a true spring, so I mean, it will give to a certain point and then catch itself. So, like through a lot of rough, choppy stuff, it gives, and when you load it into a corner, it's gonna load, and then all of a sudden it'll catch itself. So if you're hitting a bunch of ruts or chatter, it's just not gonna skip across.
Right on. And Cody, make no mistake, you're using this sway bar, which sounds like a TT type thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You're using it to win championships, hopefully, in
like
GNCC.
I said, you know, about half of the testing and stuff that we do at the house is on our short course track or our motocross track.
Okay. That
we kind of converted over from the ATV motocross stuff into a side-by-side motor track. And yeah, like I said, we hit huge jumps with this thing, hit the cross-country trails with it, and I absolutely wouldn't have it any other way. You know, like I said, it was the first mod that I did to the stock car, and it was by far the biggest improvement.
Second mod, probably George's shocks, right? Did he take the stocker shocks, or what did you do with the shocks on this machine?
These are Elka shocks that George has been helping me to get the valving perfect on.
I got you.
Valving and spring rates, you know, obviously huge.
Yeah.
And coming into the Yamaha, George already had a year's of experience, a year's worth of experience with this thing, and my setup was way off. And he brought his stuff out and said, "Here, let's try this," and bam, the thing was, you know, night and day difference. And since then, we've done a lot more testing to get it even better.
Well, show us some of the other things. Thank you, George.
Well, I mean, we don't get too far before we see, you know, Elka shocks, double E sway bar, HMF exhaust.
a lot going on back here.
Yeah.
And I noticed, my shadow's in the shot here, but I've noticed GYTR on the head there.
Yeah.
Is that something special from Yamaha?
Yeah, that is something special from GYTR. You got a quick eye there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's done up, and it's a power improvement. You know, still stock CCs and everything, but it's definitely
Is that something GNCC specific to try to get some lower end
yeah.
RPM out of the machine?
Yeah,
or?
you know, it's not just GNCC. It's definitely going to help out here at the short course race as well. But all the way around, it's just gaining horsepower. These motors have got huge amounts of potential.
They sure do, but they seem to live up top. So you try to tap into some lower grunt. And how have you done that? For GNCC, you need some lower grunt.
Yeah.
What have you done to do that?
Put it in first gear. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? Maybe the shifter. Does that help?
This is a paddle shift car, so I don't have a clutch. You know, it's just a gas and a brake pedal. But definitely with the GYTR head and stuff, it's helped to make a lot more low end, along with the HMF pipe and the Evolution tune. It's definitely made a big improvement. But this thing is, like most everybody would say, it's long-legged.
Yeah.
It likes the straightaways, and certainly that's where I make up the biggest gap on all these guys. Also, it takes the rough stuff pretty well. Texeratech has been another sponsor that has gotten involved with my program this year, and I've got these front A-arms here that are a little bit different geometry, and they definitely help. They make it easier to steer, they make it more responsive, they make it cut harder. They're also a high clearance A-arm. They've got kind of a bow there that helps you to stay clear of the ruts and things like that. You know,
geometry any different on those? Are they plus forward?
Okay. Yeah, a little bit. And it was some serious testing that Texeratech and I did over the off season. That was one of the very first things, along with the sway bar, one of the first things that I started messing with, and it's made a huge difference. You know, Maxxis tires, these Cero tires are more of a short course tire. You can see them feathering off here, and they're definitely hooking up out there on this dry slick stuff. The DWT wheels is a 0 offset DWT wheel here, and a lot of these guys are running a real wide offset on the front, but for me, I personally feel like this car handles better with it a little bit more narrow.
Okay.
And it helps to cut and corner, especially in GNCC. This is a mandatory thing to get between the trees.
Right, but you're not scared to take it on a big, wide open short course with this narrow setup?
No, because of the sway bar. I mean, I've got a wide offset rear wheel as well, but the way that this thing plants with the shocks and the sway bars, or the sway bar, it's pretty well stable. You know, I don't need the extra width up front to hold the thing down.
Very cool. Yeah. And I'm looking at some of the Identity YXZ1000R Yamaha. I love seeing some of this. That's not just because it looks cool.
No.
That's on purpose from the manufacturer.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what you get when you're a factory driver. That's cool.
Yamaha is very, very particular about where they want their logos and how they want the car to look, and I agree with them. You know, they're putting a huge amount of effort into my program this year, and I couldn't be more proud to represent them. And I'm extremely happy to have such a well-branded vehicle.
Yeah,
you know,
it's neat.
It's definitely something that makes me feel pretty proud to get the opportunity to do something like that.
And you've worked with them in the 450 quad stuff
all the way
too.
back in 2007 was
Yeah.
the last time I rode for Yamaha.
Yep.
Before this year.
Some of the same people you worked with?
Yeah, still the same people. So that was definitely a good end for me. And then Sparco is another company that we got involved with this year. Those containment seats and stuff, they make a huge difference. You know, you're not in there, you're not fighting with your legs to hold yourself in the car. You know, the seat keeps you where you're at. And then all you're doing is working your controls. And Hess Motorsports has got these paddle extensions and steering quickeners and things that have made this car much better. You can't really get along without that stuff. It's one of the first mods. I know I keep saying the first mod, but you know, I don't do anything on this car if it's not just absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
But
and that's especially with GNCC to
Yeah.
try to get through the trees
yeah,
faster.
you
It's
gotta
not
be
just
able
a
to
matter of
cut
getting,
it.
you're not lazy. You just
Yeah.
want to get those wheels turned faster
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
avoid that next tree.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that is a critical thing. I raced a
Absolutely.
stock one of these, so
Yeah,
I know
so
I'm
you were
like
doing
hammering
this.
on that thing nonstop. So I know what you mean. It would have been great to have a quickener.
Yeah, it's pretty important. This is sort of my test / practice car.
Okay.
And I use it for races that aren't GNCC. The GNCC's car's got a couple more bells and whistles because it's, you know, it's obviously the most important thing that I'm running right now. So I've gotten a little bit more work into it. But this one's got about 600 miles on it now, and I've had 0 mechanical issues.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
They hold up. They're
Yeah.
durable, man. Ball joints,
it's a
everything's
strong-
stock ball joints.
It's a strong car. Yeah, it's stock stuff. I mean, you know, I've replaced a couple of the parts, but only like, you know, the sway bar and things like that. Other than that, I mean, it's really a bulletproof vehicle. Changing the fluids, and yeah, every time I drain the oil in the diffs, it looks like it was from the factory.
Isn't that
brand
something?
new.
Good.
Got a Texera frame brace kit on this, and that makes a pretty big difference as
Okay.
well.
Especially for the GNCC stuff. You
Yeah,
don't need it for here.
well, you hit a tree and it's
Yeah.
really bad. That's kind of what I did first. I hit a tree with this thing whenever it was not that old, and found out the weak points and started developing some stuff with them, and you know, it's definitely beefed up the car. The GNCC cars, it's basically bulletproof at this point.
You've raced a CVT belt versus this new paddle shifter.
Yeah, you know, I never got into
Is
the
there any-
slap shift car. I just went straight to the paddle shift, and it's
Pretty cool,
pretty
isn't it?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially out here, you know, you start, you know, coming into these corners from 4th gear, and you just start clicking down and pitching the car out, click down, and it's just like you're in a freaking Indy car or something out there. It sounds awesome, and whenever you get back in the gas, you know you're in the right gear.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
just yanks out of the corners.
Did you ever, it's supposed, it downshifts for you too. So there's never been
Well,
a
if you
situation
come
where
to
you're
a
on the
dead
brakes
stop,
really hard and
yeah.
and you forget it's in the right
Yeah,
gear
if
for
you
you?
come into a stop, it'll go straight down to first gear for you. Yeah,
Very cool.
pretty neat. It's a smart vehicle. You know, there's a lot more here than what meets the eye.
And it must be fun to pass a guy that's stranded with you know what he's sitting for. He's probably got a rubber
Well, that's the
band that
thing
broke,
about
right?
yeah, that's the thing about, you know, a lot of side-by-side racing is that you got to really take care of the car.
Yeah, you've been
you
pretty
gotta
good with that.
baby it, yeah, and that's just not something that you have to do with this thing. It's like you can drive it just as hard as you want to,
Wow.
and it just takes the abuse and keeps going.
Well, thank you for talking with us.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
I like you. Really, the 22 too. Don't ever change this number. It's
there's
how
a
you're known.
number 1. There's a red number
You-
1 underneath
I
there.
think that Reed guy runs something similar, but I know the 22 because it's my boy Cody Miller.
Thank you.